We do have a little bit of business to take care of. We're putting a bow on the 2016 Texas high school football season, but one thing we have to do before we say goodbye, wave goodbye to 2016, is announce some superlatives. Tomorrow, we'll be doing the Texas high school football coaches of the year.
Ooh.
But today, we will be announcing the 2016 Texas high school football teams of the year. We pick one from each classification, not each division, each classification plus private schools. So 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, and private schools. All teams are eligible. Let's get to it. This was a tough decision. A lot of these were tough. And I think the toughest one might have been in Class 6A. But after review, the 2016 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Class 6A Team of the Year is the Humble-Atascocita Eagles. From largely unknown to nearly in the state championship game, Atascocita emerged from a brutal Region 3 of the 6A Division I bracket to reach the state semifinals behind a tremendous defense and a virtuoso performance from quarterback Davion Boyd. I think that when you look at Atascocita, we knew that they were ranked. I think that they started the year ranked 34th or something. Somewhere in the 30s.
Something very impressive, but
on our radar. On our radar, but by no means thought to be in the Final Four, right? And when the bracket came out for 6A Division I, here we sat in these chairs and talked about, oh my gosh, look how brutal Region 1 is. You've got Katy, you've got Galena Park North Shore, you've got Houston Lamar, you've got all these heavyweights in 6A Division I Region 3. One team we really didn't pay much mind to was Humble-Atascocita, who stunned Pearland, who then stunned Houston Lamar, and then stunned Galena Park North Shore to win Region 3 and make it to the state semifinals. A remarkable year for Humble-Atascocita. They are our Class 6A Team of the Year. Class 5A. The 2016 Class 5A Team of the Year is the Highland Park Scots. In a year where I think everybody paid attention to teams that were dropping down, Highland Park was one of the teams that dropped down, but I don't think a ton of people paid much mind to them. I think there are a lot of question marks they had on the offensive side, but instead they turned into a defensive juggernaut behind some of the best linebacking we have seen in a long, long time. Coach Randy Allen pushed all the right buttons. They got a great performance from their running game and from quarterback John Stephen Jones en route to the 5A Division I State Championship. A remarkable year for the Highland Park Scots, and I think worthy recipients of the 2016 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Class 5A Team of the Year. Class 4A. This, to me, I don't know that it could have been anyone else.
Okay.
The class, with all due respect to a lot of the other great teams in Class 4A, the Class 4A Team of the Year for Dave Campbell's Texas Football is the West Orange Shark Mustangs. Simply put, if you want to make an argument that West Orange Stark was the most dominant pound-for-pound team in the state in 2016, I think there is a very reasonable argument to be made. That defense was absurd. The offense went under the radar but was very good. When the running game got going to complement quarterback Jack Dallas, they were really hard to stop. But let's be real. This all began and ended with a legendary defense. The kind of defense we're going to be talking about for years and years to come. And you saw that in the state championship game against a high-powered Sweetwater attack, that the team speed they had on just sideline to sideline was so remarkable. So for me, I thought this was a pretty much slam dunk choice, that the Class 4A Dave Campbell's Texas Football Team of the Year is the West Orange Stark Mustangs.
So I have a question, because I know a lot of people are going to ask this. We've got three very different teams so far. You have Humble-Atascocita, who reached the semifinal. You have Highland Park, who won a state title. And you have West Orange Stark, who won a state title, but in a very different way. The first team, we didn't expect them to get very far, and they reached the semifinal. The second team, we didn't expect to get to the semifinals, and they won a state championship. And the last team, we expected to go stem to stern as the number one team. kind of walk through the logic of why we pick these teams the way we do, because certainly there will be people who say Lake Travis should have been the team or Aledo should have been the team.
Absolutely.
Why these teams?
For me, the biggest thing, there's certainly a feel aspect to it, and I can't necessarily explain why. What that is, because there is a kind of thing that you just look at a team and you go, yeah, you know what, that was the most remarkable team.
This is a subjective field.
It's definitely a subjective thing.
List of qualifications.
Correct. That said, I will say that expectations do play a factor in it, in the sense that, for example, if you are if we think you're going to be bad and you end up being really good,
right, that's
certainly going to catch our eye. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so there's certainly an expectations part of this.
Right.
And so I would say that every one of the teams that we list exceeded some sort of expectation, whether it's a preseason expectation or whether what we're about to talk about with the 3A team of the year was a midseason expectation, anything like that. So, for example, Humboldt-Atascocita, we did not expect them. We thought they were pretty good. We did not expect them to be the type of Region 3 champion they were. Highland Park, we did not expect them to win a state championship. They did. West Orange Stark, we did expect them to be great, and we expected them to win a state championship. We did not expect them to be this good.
Right.
And so,
and plus, the expectations were so high. To meet them, it's hard to deny them the honor.
Now, that said, look, reasonable people can disagree.
Right.
But the Dave Campbell's Texas football staff came together and decided these things, and so that's kind of what we came up with.
I think that's a reasonable explanation.
Thank you.
Plenty of people will hate you anyway.
Of course.
Okay.
Class 3A. This was tough. But the Class 3A, Dave Campbell's Texas football team of the year, the Yoakum Bulldogs. This team was dead to rights. Yeah. Okay. They were 2-4. They were one of the biggest, and they ended up being one of the biggest surprises in the state. They rattled off 9 straight to make it to the state championship, including wins over previously unbeaten Hallettsville and Malakoff to make it to the state championship game. Yeah, they fell short, but for me, what Yoakum did and what Bo Robinson did over there with the Bulldogs is so remarkable. And to me, they represent everything we're looking for a team of the year. So our Class 3A, Dave Campbell's Texas football team of the year is the Yoakum Bulldogs. Class 2A. The Class 2A team of the year for Dave Campbell's Texas football, the Burton Panthers.
What?
I know. Look, this team was unranked to start the year, and they ended up turning into one of South Texas's most dominant teams, using a high-flying offense and a crushing defense to reach the state semifinals. Yep. This was a really impressive under-the-radar team that just mowed down everyone in their path. And I will also say that when you talk to people around the state, people were really impressed with Burton. That what Burton did and what they were able to put together in the 2016 season was really remarkable. For example, one person, if you remember, when we talked to Mr. Texas Football, Rashad Paul, the Bremont quarterback, I asked him, hey, is there a game that really stood out to you? And he goes, that Burton game. That game, the semifinal game against Burton, that was one of the toughest games he'd ever faced. And, I tend to agree that I think this Burton team was really remarkable, and I think they're worthy of being the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Class 2A team of the year. Class 1A, little 6-man action. The Class 1A team of the year, the Balmorhea Bears. Their first title game in program history, and a team that, honestly, if you want to talk about expectations, this was a team that exceeded expectations, but we did also think was going to be pretty good.
Right.
But for them to come out of that part of the state, which has the sweet spot for 6-man football tends to be like take the panhandle and go straight down. Balmorhea's way out there. And for them to, from that part of the state, put together one of the most dominant 6-man teams in the state under Coach Vance Jones, just a remarkable year, and then they impressed the heck out of us in the state championship game. For us, the 2016 Class 1A team of the year is the Balmorhea Bears. And then the private school ranks. Now remember, all the private schools in the state are eligible for this. But we went the 6-man round. The private school, Dave Campbell's Texas football team of the year, the Baytown Christian Bulldogs.
I like this curveball.
Always the groomsman, but never the groom, was always the word for Baytown Christian. In 2015, they make it to the state semifinals and lose. But this year, they broke through with 6-man football's one of 6-man football's most unstoppable teams. They allowed 14 points a game. They pitched 6 shutouts en route to their first state championship. They had such a remarkable team. They outscored. They had coming into the state title game. They were outscoring opponents 617 to 126. They got a great running back in Caleb Lister. Jamichael Green is another great running back, and Talman Ellis, their quarterback. This team was, from a private school perspective, as impressive as we saw all year long. So the Baytown Christian Bulldogs are our private school team of the year. So to recap, our teams of the year in 6A, Humboldt Tascasita; in 5A, Highland Park; in 4A, West Orange Shark; in 3A, Yoakum; in 2A, Burton; in 1A, Balmorhea; and in private schools, Baytown Christian. Congratulations to the 2016 Dave Campbell's Texas football teams of the year.